Have you ever felt like everyone around you seems to have it figured out? Their faith feels effortless, their prayers seem to land, their lives seem to carry a visible weight of divine favor. And you are sitting there wondering if God somehow skipped you? Have you ever done everything right, attended, tithed, served, prayed, and still carried this hollow, nagging feeling that something fundamental is missing? That you are performing the motions of a chosen life without actually living one? Have you ever looked at your pain, the repeated losses, the unanswered prayers, the seasons that felt more like demolition than direction, and wondered if maybe your suffering was proof that God had not selected you, rather than evidence that He had? And have you ever been afraid, genuinely, quietly terrified, that you have been sitting inside the church your entire life and somehow still missed God entirely? Those questions are not random. They are not anxiety. They are not the enemy tormenting you. They are a signal. Here is what most believers are never told. Being chosen by God does not look the way you were taught it would look. It does not always arrive with immediate breakthrough, visible success, or the kind of confidence that fills a room. Sometimes, most times, being chosen looks like being different in ways that confuse you, being marked in ways that isolate you, being called in ways that cost you far more than anyone around you seems to be paying. And the gap between what you were told chosen looks like and what you are actually living has made you doubt something that was never meant to be doubted. Today, that changes. There are 4 signs, 4 undeniable, scripturally rooted signs that God has chosen you, and I need you to stay through every single one. Because point number 3 is the one that will expose exactly why you have been feeling stuck, why the breakthrough keeps being delayed, why the calling feels real, but the confirmation never seems to arrive. Do not skip ahead. You need to arrive at point 3 with everything that comes before it already inside you. Sign 1. You have been broken in ways that cannot be explained by circumstance alone. You are sitting there right now carrying a history that does not make complete sense. The losses were too heavy. The betrayals were too precise. The timing of the pain was too strategic to be random, and you have spent years trying to assign natural explanations to something that was, at its core, supernatural. Here is the binary that most people miss. One person experiences hardship and becomes bitter. The other experiences hardship and becomes burdened. Burdened for others, burdened for truth, burdened for something they cannot yet name but cannot ignore. One is coincidence. The other is construction. God does not waste pain on people. He is not building. He does not allow strategic suffering in the life of someone He has not marked. The enemy does not aggressively target people who are spiritually irrelevant. You do not get that level of targeted disruption without also carrying a level of divine assignment that someone, something has been trying to prevent. Romans 8:28 says, "And feel the full weight of this, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Notice it does not say some things. It does not say the comfortable things. It says all things. Every fracture, every failure, every season that looked like abandonment, all of it being worked, all of it being worked into something you cannot yet see from where you are standing. The hidden weight of that verse is this. It was written by a man who had been beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, and abandoned. Paul was not writing theology from comfort. He was writing testimony from ruins, and he still said all things. Mirror test, look at the hardest thing you have ever survived, not managed, survived. Now ask yourself, did that breaking make you run from God, or did it eventually, undeniably, drive you toward Him? If it drove you toward Him, that is not coincidence. That is the fingerprint of a calling that your pain could not destroy. Sign 2. You have never been able to fully belong to the world around you. This is the sign that has made you feel the most alone. And it is time to call it what it actually is. You have tried to fit. You have adjusted your edges, softened your convictions, smiled at things that made something inside you recoil. You have sat in rooms full of people and felt a silence inside you that no amount of noise could fill. You have watched people around you attach fully to trends, to conversations, to a version of life that seems effortless for everyone except you, and you have walked away feeling like something is fundamentally wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are separated. One person is shaped by their environment, the other is sent into their environment. One belongs to the culture, the other is assigned to it. One is absorbed by the world, the other is deployed into it. John 15:19 says it with a precision that should stop you. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. The hidden weight behind that verse is devastating. Jesus did not say the world might misunderstand you. He said it will hate you, not because you are hateable, but because you carry something that exposes what the world is trying to hide. Light does not just illuminate, it convicts, and the people and systems around you have been reacting not to you, but to what God placed inside you. Mirror test. Is there a version of yourself, smaller, quieter, more palatable, that you have been performing in order to make other people comfortable? And does that performance feel like freedom or like a slow death? Because the discomfort of not belonging is not your problem, it is your proof. If this is already landing somewhere deep, if something in your spirit is recognizing what your mind has been trying to explain away, stop for a moment and hit that like button right now. If you believe God still chooses and still calls ordinary people for extraordinary purposes, let this video know and drop your city in the comments right now, just your city, because the people watching this are not random. And where you are sitting matters. Sign 3. Your gifts have caused you more pain than praise. This is the one I told you about. This is the sign that explains the stuckness. You have a gift. You know it. God knows it. And somewhere, somehow, that gift has become a source of grief rather than glory. People have used it without honoring it. Leaders have exploited it without developing it. You have poured it out freely and watched others advance on the strength of what you gave, while you remained exactly where you were. And slowly, painfully, you began to wonder if the gift was even real, or worse, if it was real, whether it even mattered. Here is the truth that religious systems will never tell you because it threatens their structure. One system celebrates gifts that serve the institution, the other calls gifts that disrupt it. One environment rewards the gift that fits neatly. The other marks the gift that cannot be contained. One promotes the comfortable. God chooses the costly. 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, "But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." The hidden weight of that verse is this: God's selection criteria are deliberately offensive to human systems of value. He does not draft the obvious candidates. He recruits from the overlooked, the underestimated, the ones who have been told in 100 subtle ways that they are too much or not enough. He specifically chooses what human institutions would discard. Your gift being misused is not evidence that it has no value. It is evidence that the people who encountered it were not authorized to carry it. And the pain you experienced was not the gift being rejected. It was the gift being protected, kept from being spent in places that were too small for what God intends to do with it. Mirror test. Has there been a moment when your gift flowed with an effortlessness that surprised even you? When something moved through you that felt bigger than your training, your experience, or your confidence could account for? That moment was not performance. That was assignment. And God is asking you, are you still willing to carry it, even if it costs you again? Sign 4. You have been pulled toward prayer, even when you did not want to be. Not toward religion, not toward ritual, toward conversation, toward this unshakable, sometimes inconvenient, often unexplainable pull toward a God you cannot physically see, even in the seasons when you were most angry at Him. Even when you told yourself you were done. Even when walking away seemed like the logical, the deserved, the rational choice, you could not fully leave. And that inability, that stubborn, persistent, almost frustrating inability to completely walk away is one of the most significant signs of divine selection that exists. One person walks away from God and finds freedom. The other walks away and finds a homesickness they cannot cure. One leaves and feels relief. The other leaves and feels incomplete. That incompleteness is not weakness, it is wiring. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." The hidden weight of that verse is staggering. God's knowledge of you preceded your existence. His choice of you was not reactive. It was original. He did not choose you based on your performance. He chose you before you had the opportunity to perform anything, before the failures, before the doubts, before the seasons that made you question everything. The choosing came first. Everything else, including the pulling back toward Him, is simply the chosen responding to the chooser. Mirror test. Think about the moment you were furthest from God, the moment the distance felt most complete. Was there still, somewhere beneath the silence, a part of you that knew the way back, that knew His voice even when you refused to answer it? That knowing, that orientation toward Him even in your worst season is not your achievement. It is His handprint on your life, and it has been there longer than you realize. You have been carrying signs you could not read, living a chosen life in a language you were never taught to recognize, surviving seasons that were designed to disqualify you, and surviving them anyway, not because you are strong enough, because you are sealed. Being chosen by God does not mean your life will be easy. It means your life will be meaningful in ways that outlast your comfort, your understanding, and your timeline. It means you will be broken in places that become doorways, displaced in rooms that were not your destination, misread by people who were not your audience. But it also means this: the God who chose you before you were formed, who wired you with gifts that systems could not contain, who planted a prayer instinct in you that your worst seasons could not uproot. That God has not changed His mind about you, not in the silence, not in the suffering, not in the season that made you question everything. He chose you. He is still choosing you. And the 4 signs you just heard are not meant to make you feel special. They are meant to make you feel responsible, because chosen is not a title, it is a weight. And God is asking you right now, are you finally ready to carry it? If you are, if something in you just shifted, just recognized itself in what you heard today, type the words "See chosen" and "ready" in the comments right now. Not for the algorithm, not for the numbers. As a declaration between you and the God who selected you before the foundations of the earth were laid. Type "chosen" and "ready," and let the assignment begin.